Welcome back to Packs and Picks. In the previous video, we opened up our first 6 packs of Lorwyn Eclipsed, and in this video, I'm going to go over the deck that I ultimately built with those cards. So let's jump right in. With a set like Lorwyn, where creature types matter, the main creature types that are the focus of the set, I wanted first to look through the card pool and just find any cards that cared about other creature types, just to see how much I should care when building the deck about the creature types in the pool. So for goblins, I just pulled out here the goblins that care about other goblins. So we've got Bone Club Berserker, Taster of Wares, Bogart Prankster. Those are our 3 cards that care about having more goblins in our deck. As far as Merfolk go, we got Wanderwine Farewell, Tributary Vaulter, and Deepway Navigator are 1 rare in Merfolk. In Elves, we have the Creekwood Saferight, the Vinebred Brawler, the Saferight Cavalry, and that was it for Elves. And then in Kithkin, we have the Gallant Foul Knight and the Mist Meadow Council. So and then Elementals, I don't think we had any Elementals that explicitly cared about having Elementals. There were some of the cards that cared about value 4 or greater, but nothing specifically for Elementals. So these are the cards that care about creature types. And of them, there's nothing that really says you really need to be goblins or you really need to be elves to me. There are definitely good cards. I like the Saferight Cavalry. I do like the Deepway Navigator for what they're doing for their specific tribes. But just looking at this doesn't tell me, oh, I really need to go into Kithkin because of these 2 Kithkin cards. So with that out of the way, it kind of gave me a little bit of freedom to look at all the different options that I had in the pool and not feel like I'm being pulled in one specific direction for one specific tribe. So the first thing I wanted to look at that called to me was blue and white, and that was mainly off of the back of a lot of the removal that I saw in blue and white. So I'll lay that out right now, talk about some of the cards. All right, so this is kind of what the blue and white Merfolk deck will look like. It's not quite 23 cards, but we would supplement with a few other cards. These are just the Merfolk and rares that I liked first off. So one card that I did like, it's not a Merfolk, but it is a fairy, Flitterwing Nuisance. So small flyer that's going to allow us to get some card advantage a little bit later in the game. Liked that. I do like the 2 Wanderbrine Preachers, so 2 mana 2/2s when they become tapped, which is what Merfolk want to do. Then we gain 2 life. Really like that. But then what really drove me towards looking at blue and white was 2 copies of Blossom Bind. So 2 cost enchantment. Here, I'll do the non-foil for the camera. So yeah, 2 copies of Blossom Bind. Just a way to lock down a creature. We've got 2 copies of Crib Swap. So in this way, it's turning kind of a big threat into a smaller threat in the form of a 1/1 shapeshifter. Then we've got Liminal Hold, your Oblivion Ring effect in the set. So we got Liminal Hold. And then we've got some interaction here with Wanderwine Farewell and Rhyme Chill, some big cost to bounce effects and tap effects at the top end of the curve. So I did like a lot of the interaction of Merfolk, but as we'll see when we get to the deck that I ultimately went with, the critical mass of creatures here isn't like in some of the other colors and color pairs. So this is the blue-white version of the deck. I think there's definitely an argument to making this version out of this sealed pool for sure. I wouldn't blame anybody for making this one. So that's blue-white Merfolk. So the next avenue I went down was looking at elves. And so I'll lay out the elves now and show you what we've got here. All right, and kind of like with Merfolk, this isn't the full complement of 23. We would add a few more cards here to round out the deck, but this is like the elves and the notable things, I think, for the black-green version of the deck. So a couple notable things here. We do have 2 copies of Midnight Tilling, so elves care about elves in the graveyard, so Midnight Tilling helps us get cards in the graveyard. It also works pretty well with Lewin Imperfect Naturalist, so this is one of our rares and an elf. So Lewin mills, but also cares about lands in the graveyard and allows us to make repeatedly lots of 1/1 green worm creature tokens for each land in our graveyard. So I like the little synergy here in the pool with Lewin and a couple copies of Midnight Tilling. We also have A card that I played with at pre-release, Moon Vigil Adherence. So 4 cost, 0/0 trample, but it's going to get bigger for all those creatures in our graveyard from things like Midnight Tilling and Lewin, and also for creatures on the battlefield like those 1/1 worms. So there's a lot going on here that I do like. We also get some interaction in the form of Auntie's Sentence, a couple copies of Blightrot, a fight effect in Pitiless Fists. So another great direction I think that we could go with the pool that we have here and do a black-green version. The reason why I didn't settle on this is because when we look at goblins next, where I think I would start the sealed pool with, is there's just a ton more goblins overall that are going to reach that critical mass for us in the final version of the build. So I'll go ahead and lay that out right now. We'll take a look at black-red goblins. Lots of 3-drops. All right, so a lot going on here, but you can see already that just by pulling our goblins out, we've got a lot more goblins in the base version of the build than with elves or with merfolk. So for things like our Bone Club Berserker, getting +2/+0 for each goblin we control, so we've got way more goblins to boost up this particular creature. We've also got the Bogart Prankster. So whenever you attack, target attacking goblin gets +1/+0. So we're going to have more targets for the Bogart Prankster. We also have a lot of tokens in the form of 2 copies of Elder Auntie and then a Sourbread Auntie here, giving us the option to make some tokens in some goblin tokens. And that's relevant because I did put in one copy, or our copy of Mirrormind Crown. So this is as long as it's attached to a creature, the first time we would create one or more tokens, we may instead create that many tokens that are copies of the equipped creature. So we do have token creation in goblins here, more so than in like Kithkin or elves in the pool that we had. So I can see attaching this to something like the Bogart Prankster or the Bone Club Berserker and just getting more of those creatures that care about having more goblins with the tokens that we're creating. So Mirrormind Crown would be something fun to play with. We also get some removal in the form of Feed the Flames and Endblaze Epiphany. And then at the top of the curve, I just have this Cool Wrath Zealot up here just because I like to have something big, some big creature at the top end of the curve if my little goblins down at the bottom end can't pull off the job. So that is the first version of the deck that I'm going to go with. Let me know down in the comments what you like most out of this pool. Would you go with blue-white merfolk? Are you going to go with elves or something else entirely? Let me know, and let me know how you're enjoying Lorwyn Eclipsed so far. Stick around because we're going to have more decks and more sealed pools coming up. See you soon.